Masechet Sukkah Daf Dalid. Very, very interesting daf. We're going to have 7 cases of how to take a sukkah that's too high and make it lower, or if it's too short, how to make it higher. And then we'll see a very actually relevant case of putting a sukkah on a roof. And I'll show you why it's relevant, and maybe I'll even touch on a halacha l'maaseh through a Rambam and a Geniza fragment. So some very exciting cases. We begin. Hayata geboha me'asrim amma uba lema'ata bekarim uchsatot lahave mi'ud. So I have a sukkah that's too high, more than 20 amot high, and I say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it smaller by putting pillows or cushions down at the bottom, and that'll be my floor, right? So I'm raising the floor with pillows. This is no good because pillows, they're not going to last there all 7 days. You have in mind, if you need a pillow, you're going to take it. It's not for, it's not permanent flooring, and people don't use it as such. Therefore, it's not going to stay there, and it's not okay. Even if you say bitul, like we do for chametz, right? These karim have batel kafra dara. They're like dust of the earth, these pillows. It doesn't work. If you try to do bitul to cancel them, you're canceled, right? You're a strange person. Nobody says, I think my pillows are dust of the earth. So if you try to nullify them, you're the one that's going to be nullified. This is called cancel culture. Therefore, pillows are out. They're not going to make a new floor. How about other things? Teben ubitelo, straw. Straw is useful. You feed animals. You can burn it for fire, but you don't use it so much like pillows. So if you do bitul on the teben, you say, this teben, behold, it's nothing to me. It's flooring. That works. That's fine. And you step on the teben, 7 days, you leave it there. All the more so dirt. I mean, dirt, if you have in mind that you're going to use it, this dirt, I'm going to go and make a dam out of it, right? Then it's a problem. But if you do bitul, this dirt, kafrat, literally, kafrat dara, right? This is my floor. I'm not using it at all. That is fine. Good. Now, how about teben ve'en atid lefanoto? If you did the previous case was, if I say verbally, explicitly, I am not using this teben. What if I don't say anything? I don't say it's batel, but I have no plans to use it. I have plans not to use it, right? I kind of have in mind, even if I don't verbalize it. Or ve'afar stam, afar, dust, that even if you don't have plans, just, I don't say anything. In those cases, machloket Rabbi Yosef Rabbanan. Those are in between, borderline cases. Here we have a Mishnah in Masechet Aholot. Ditnan. Bayit shemil'uhu teben oserorot ubitelo mevutal. Okay, a little intro. In the laws of ohel is that if there's a dead body in a room, it fills up the room. But not doesn't go above. It doesn't go above after that. The thing, what you need is a buffer. You need a 1 tefach of space, empty space, and then the roof, and that caps it, and it doesn't go above that. However, if there's no empty space, and it's just filled in with stuff that's all just part, it's all substance, then it does go above and below and all around it. So you need a tefach and a roof in order to stop the tum'ah from rising. This is very relevant because on many El Al flights, there's probably a body underneath. However, what if you're a Kohen? How do you go on the plane, right? You're actually in the tube with it. So they know, and they pack it in such a way that there's a tefach of space, and then in the coffin, and then cover on top, that the tum'ah stays inside. Okay, that's the law. Mishnah there says, let's say there's a corpse in a room, in a house, and you fill up that room with teben, with hay, like maybe it's a barn, or serorot, or with pebbles, or bitelo, and you say, I don't care about this teben, I don't care about these pebbles, they're like nothing to me, mevutal. So therefore, it is nullified. That's bad. If it's nullified, that means there's no empty space. If there's no empty space, then the tumah is going to go right through that and pass the roof and make anything on top of it tameh. If you don't nullify it, then it's not part of the structure. Then it's like empty space. So what do we learn from that? For these teben and sedorot, bitelo in, lo bitelo la. Only if you nullify it, then it is nullified. If you don't nullify it, it's not good. So what you see from here is, according to Rabbanan, you have to specifically nullify these things. Otherwise, they are not nullified. And the same thing for a sukkah, if you want to use them for flooring to raise the floor. That's Rabbanan. Taneh ala Rabbi Yosef Omer Teben ve'en atid lefanoto harehu ke'afar stam ubatel. Rabbi Yosef is more mekel, and he says if you have hay, and as long as you don't have you have plans not to use it, right? That's fine. You don't have to say bitul. And for dirt, it's even less. If you say nothing. There's 3 different levels. Either you have plans not to use it, you have no plans at all, or you have plans not to use it, right? The middle one is, I just didn't say anything. So for him, dirt, if you don't say anything, you're going to stay there, unless you have specifically plans to use it. So therefore, afar, if you want to use afar, ve'atid lefanoto, hareu kestam teben ve'la batil. If you have dirt and you plan to use it, that's no good, and that's equivalent to teben that you don't say anything about. Teben is more usable, so therefore teben stam is not batel. Okay, good. So now we have all those cases of pillows. That's for sure not good in any case, even if you do bitul, and these other in between cases that can be good even if you didn't do bitul. You're nullifying. You say, I'm not considering the straw to be anything useful to me. Huh? I want it to be the floor. I want it to be earth, right? Not right. I am not going to use it for any purpose. You say it explicitly. That works for teben and dirt. It doesn't work for pillows. All right. Next case. Hayata geboha me'asrim amma vehusin yoredin betoch esrim amma. So here's a picture. If you have a very tall sukkah, too tall, but you see the schach has leaves and thorns sticking down there. So it depends. If those thorns, if just that bottom part of thorns, you have more shade than sun, then that itself could be schach. Right, and so you don't forget what's up above it. Schach could be very thick; it doesn't matter. If the bottom part of the schach that's under 20 is more shade, then that's good schach by itself. So that's for sure fine. V'imlav pisula. But if you just take that bottom that's within 20 amot from the floor and it has more sun than shade, then it's not good schach, and therefore the rest of the schach is above. So therefore it's too high. It's pasul. Good. Next case. Hayta geboha asara tefachim vehusin yordin letoch asara. Now the opposite. This is only 10 tefachim, right? The schach is 10 tefachim, but there are thorns and branches that are going down under 10 tefachim. So it's the opposite case, right? If it's more sun than shade, then it should be fine, because so what? It's like the little decorations, little things sticking in. It's not providing shade, so it should not reduce the top. Just like it does not reduce it when it's too high, it shouldn't reduce it if it's too low. So he thought it would be fine, Abaye. But then, Amar le Rava, ha dira siruchahi, ve'en adam dar bedira sirucha. This is sirucha. Sometimes it means it's problematic. It actually means sagging. Yehes saruach. Regarding in Shemot, regarding the Yediot of the Mishkan, it says they're a little extra, and it sags down past the side of the Mishkan. So that's what sirucha means. This is a deficient sukkah because it's all sagging. It's not honorable to live in such a thing. So it's interesting. Rava is always conceptualizing. Before he conceptualizes, it has to be dirat arai. Can't look like a palace, a permanent structure. On the other hand, you do have to live there for 7 days. You can't be less than 10 tefachim and this thorn sticking into your head, right? This is not proper, and therefore it is not okay. Next case. Hayata geboha me'asrim amma ubana ba'itzteba keneged dofen ha'emsa'i al pene kula v'yesh ba hechsher sukkah keshera. This is an interesting case. We have a picture here. Okay, so you have a sukkah. The top is more than 20 amot high. That's not good. But you build a platform out of bricks, whatever, and the platform makes it less. Now, if this platform touches 3 walls, right, goes along the entire back wall and reaches up to the side walls, and this would be a kasher sukkah by itself. In order to be a kasher sukkah, it has to be at least 7 tefachim. right? That's the minimum size sukkah. So if it's 7 wide and 7 long at least, then not only is this section kasher, of course this section is kasher, it has 3 walls and a roof, it's fine. Not only that, the rest of the sukkah is also kasher. Like that kashrut, it's as if the platform extends. Like once the schach and the walls are kosher, they can extend throughout. Happens to be a dip, there's a step down. So what, right? But you have this kosher thing. The rest can extend. This is actually quite a useful halacha. Sometimes you have 3 walls, but you have maybe some section that sticks out. And according to this, the schach can even extend, even though the walls don't. Okay, so that would be okay. Umin hatzad im yesh misefat isteba lakotel al ba'amot pesula pachot ba'amot keshera. If, as opposed to putting it here where it touches all 3 walls, let's say you put it over here where it only touches 2 walls. Now already this is not good, because if you had only this platform, you only have 2 walls, not good. However, if from the space, from the edge of the platform here to the opposite wall is less than 4 amot, that's okay. Why? We apply dofen akuma, meaning a bent wall. Imagine, see this wall here, right? Walls sometimes are not straight. So imagine this wall bends, and this schach here is part of the wall, right? And that's fine. So I just have a bent wall, and therefore it reaches up to the edge. So it's as if this has actually 3 walls. May not be able to sit under it because I'm sitting under a wall and not schach, but nevertheless, if it's 4 amot or less, we can apply dofen akuma. It's close enough that it's all part of the wall, and therefore it has 3 walls. Okay, good. So that is the halacha. Now we say, we know this law of dofen akuma already. Why do you have to even tell us this? By the way, all these cases, you notice there's no names. It doesn't say Amar Rav. It doesn't even say Tanura Banan as a Braita. Who's saying all these? Who's presenting all these cases? Now she says it's the Bnei Yeshiva. It's the later editorial level. They're throwing out these cases and discussing them. So this is all stam from the anonymous layer of the Talmud. So it's very interesting to have such a long and intricate layer from the stam. My kamash malan. Why are you even telling me this case? To teach me that I can consider the wall as if it's bent. Tanena bayit shenifchat v'sikech al gabav im yesh min hakotel lesikoch al ba'amot pesula. We have a baraita that says a house. Let's say you have a house, and in the middle of the house, the wall, the ceiling fell in, right? And you say, "Oh, fantastic! I can use this as a sukkah." So if the entire ceiling fell in, that would be the best. Then you have a full sukkah. Not good for your architecture, but if part of it, then if as long as from the edge of where the schach is going to be to the wall is less than 4 amot on this side and all around, that's fine, because we consider that this wall on the side just bends and continues right to there, as long as it's 4 amot or less. So we already know this halacha from a baraita. Why are you coming now, later on, this anonymous layer, and saying, "Oh, I have a chidush"? Of course, it's okay. The answer is so ha pachot mekan keshera, and therefore less than that we know would be okay. So ma'odetema. If I only had that baraita, I would have thought hatam hu techazia ladofen abalacha delachazia ladofen emala kamash malan. If I only had the case about a house, well, the house, those walls are proper walls; they're the right size. But in our case, the walls are too tall. And so I didn't know if you can combine a wall that's too tall, so it's not really good, and is also gonna bend. So is that okay? We might think not, and therefore we say yes, you can combine both of these halachot. Excellent. Next case. Oh, now you build not only touching one wall. Right in the middle is this platform, right? So this is not going to be much tougher. As long as you have 4 amot or less between on this side and on this side, that's okay, right? Otherwise, if on any side you don't have, because you need to have 3 walls. Now, my kamash malan.
You said 4 amot or less. Do you mean less than 4 amot, or specifically 4 amot or less? Because 4 amot sounds like it's pasul.
Ba'amot pesula. You're right. Okay, exactly. 4 amot would be pasul. Has to be less than 4 amot. Okay, thank you for bringing out your measuring tape. Oh, exactly. Yes, you're right. Mai kamash malan. Why do you have to tell us this? Tamrinan dofen akuma. Hainu hach. To teach us dofen akuma, it's the same thing. One side, two sides. I mean, what's the difference? How many? מהו דתמה? דופן עקומה מרוח אחת אמרינן, אבל כל רוח ורוח לא כמשמען. I might have thought maybe one side, one crooked wall, kind of okay, fine, but all the walls are crooked, right? Doesn't look like much of a room in that case. But yes, you can even do it on all sides. The truth is, from the baraita above, that they have in the middle of the roof came down. Actually, over there you are using dofen akuma on all sides. So you could have learned it from.
Everything's bent.
Right, everything's bent. All 4 sides are bent in that baraita. But we could say the same thing. Over there, the walls were less than 20. How do you know that you can apply higher than 20 and dofen akuma on all sides? So it's good that he taught us this.
Didn't we just say Rabbah said that you can't have a sagging structure, but we have 4 bent-in walls about to collapse on each other? That's okay though?
That's okay. It's not sagging. The problem. It's not sagging on your head, right?
It's like a house of cards, right?
No, maybe it's nice. Some people like like a teepee kind of architecture. All right, teepees are interesting because they're only walls. There's no roof. So what do you do? All right, one leaf, but you can only sit right under there. Haita, next case. Haita pechuta me'asara tefachim. You have short walls. The walls are shorter than 10 tefachim. And what you do is in the middle, you dig down, right? Deep down. And so if you add the height of the walls plus the height of the pit, then you get to more than 10. If it looks like this is a lot of space between the pit and the edge of the wall, more than 3 tefachim. That is much shorter. This is just like 10 inches. Right? Then it's no good. But if it's closer than that, then it's okay. You can see this picture looks like it's closer. This is one in the middle. Here, this one, right? You see, so if it's very close, so what's the difference? Now, how come over here 3 tefachim and the other one we said 4 amot? Right? What is the difference between these two? So that's the next question of the Talmud. Pachot mishosha tefachim. If it's less than 3 tefachim, it's okay. No, but it has to be. This is horizontally. The wall has to be away from the going down. Less than 3 tefachim horizontally. How come in the previous halachot where dofen akuma it could be 4 amot away, but here only 3 tefachim? There is a wall. It's just that it's too high, so and it's far away, so we're gonna bend it over. But there is a wall there. Here we have to make a wall. A wall less than 10 tefachim is not halachically considered a wall. It's nothing. It's just a curb cut. So therefore, you don't even have a wall to begin with that you can start extending it or anything. So therefore, the wall has to be straight. Less than 3 tefachim, we use lavud. Lavud means it's considered connected. If it's something 3 tefachim or less, or less than 3 tefachim, it's all one, right? Therefore you have the lattice, you have holes in your walls, less than 3 tefachim, we're just nothing. We don't care about it at all. So in this case, if it's going, you have the wall, and then just a little bit 3 tefachim, that's all the same wall. We'll consider it as if it's all one. And you can't say 4 amot because you don't have a wall at all without the extra depth in the middle there.
It's interesting that we said before that the minimum size of sukkah is 4 amot by 4 amot. Maybe you could say if the walls go in, there's no roof anymore, right? Like you were saying with the teepee.
Right.
Is that like a reason why?
Right. Well, that's the same case as the teepee, right?
Right. So I'm saying, is that one of the reasons why that they consider that the minimum size of a sukkah?
No, because then 4 amot you could use both sides 4 amot. It could be 8 by 8, and still you have to be more than 8 by 8 in order to. No, 4 by 4 we saw as a standard measurement for a room, for a mezuzah, for ma'akeh, for everything. So I think 4 by 4 made sense if you want to define it as a house or a room, and the 7 by 7 tefachim is if you want to define it by usage. Look, as long as you can fit in there and eat there, that's all good. Next case, הייתה גבוהה 120 אמה, ובנה בה עמוד שהוא גבוה 10 טפחים. So it's high, and instead of like a platform that goes along, you just put one little pillar or table in the middle. I'll show you a picture here. Like this, okay? And you're sitting on top of this. Now the question is, can you consider the walls to go under you, right? That's okay. Who said the walls have to be higher than where you're sitting? The walls can be lower than you. And so can we say good asik? You have 4 walls. Now, so if you use the outside walls, no good, because those are too high. So the ceiling, the sechach, is more than 20 amot from the floor, from the ground floor. But you're sitting over here, so your floor is higher. But where's your walls? The walls are too far away. They said they're more than 4 amot, right? Oh, the walls, how about these? I could use the walls that are under me, and we have a concept, good asik, that good means a wall, asik means we extend it up. So we'll extend it up, even though it's under me, right? Sounds like it should be fine. And the first opinion says it is okay. No. Amar sabat Abaye lememar god asik machisata. Abaye said should be okay. We'll consider the sides of this pillar to be walls. Then 10 tefachim high. Beforehand, that platform was less than 10 tefachim, so this whole thing didn't apply. But these are 10 tefachim. That's good enough to be a short wall. We extend it up, and now you have walls, and the schach is less than 20 amot from where you're sitting. So he thought that should be okay. Amar le Rava, ba'aynan mechisot hanikadot veleka. Rava's always coming in with the, doesn't feel right? Something about the concept that you need walls that you can see, you can tell that they're walls, and you don't have that in this case. It's not clear if he's rejecting totally god asek michisata. I think he would agree that if the walls were partial but above ground, then you can extend it up. But if they're below ground and you really don't look like walls, then would he still say it? In this case, there's even a bigger problem, which is that there's 2 floorings. You're using the floor, the ground floor here, in terms of for the walls, right? You say the walls begin down here. Sorry, right? The walls begin down here. So therefore, see, I have walls, 10 tefachim off the ground. But for the purpose of the roof, you're using the top of the pillar as the floor. So like pick a reference point, right? It's like theory of relativity, right? Where is your ground floor, right? Pick one.
It's not from the real ground. It's from where you're sitting on the
Fine.
chair.
If you want it to be that, then you need walls that start from the ground and go up, right? You can't put walls underground and bury them and say, I have walls underground. So this is therefore this is more problematic than the cases that we've seen before. All right. If you count, I counted 7, more or less, 7 cases just now. And now we have a baraita. So we're getting back into Tanaitic material. Tenora banan. Na'as. Arba'a kundesin vesikech al gaban. Rabbi Yaakov machshir hachamim poslin. If you have atop of a building, you take 4 pillars. Kundesin is poles, and you put them at the corners, and you put schach on top, and no walls. That's it. Just that. That is the question. Rabbi Yaakov said, yes, it's fine. And Chachamim say, no. Now, why would you say it's okay, even though there's no walls? Well, there's a wall here. So if you consider the ground floor down here, right? And this goes similar to the case that we just mentioned. So Amar Rav, so Rabbi Yaakov says it's fine. Chachamim say no. Now, then we're going to have 2 Amoraic interpretations of this baraita. So keep the level straight, right? The baraita is Tanakama and Rabbi Yaakov, or Rabbanan and Rabbi Yaakov. Chachamim, yes, it's Chachamim here, okay? So think about halacha l'maaseh. If you just had this, we're going to follow Chachamim. They're more machmir. They say it's no good. But we're going to have 2 interpretations about what case they're talking about. Amar Rav Huna, machloket al sefat hagag. We're talking about a case where the poles are put on the corners of the roof. Where's the fence for the roof? Ma'akeh? Good question. I don't know. Maybe it's not so high. Whatever. Right. The Rabbi Yaakov sabar amrenan god asik mechisata. Rabbi Yaakov, who permits it, he says you can take the walls that are below where you're sitting and extend them up to the heavens. Rabbanan sabre lamrinan god asik mechisata. Maybe Rabbanan do not apply this, and you can't have walls that are beneath you and that they're going to go up. No, it doesn't work. Aval be'emsa hagag devra kol pisula. But let's say it's in the middle, like this, right? You have 4 poles in the middle of a roof. Well, here, well, if they're very close, maybe you could say 3 tefachim. But if they're far away from the edge of the roof, then nobody would say this is okay. There's no mechitza at all. Even if you take this wall and extend it up, it's too far away from the schach. You can't have too much space between the schach and the wall. So everyone would agree that that is no good. That is the opinion of Rav Huna. Good? Okay, so keep that in mind. According to Rav Huna, if you had it at the edge, would it be good halacha l'maaseh? The answer is no, because Chachamim, we would follow Chachamim, and they say it's no good. So this is a machmir interpretation. Rav Nachman Amar, that's all he says, only those words. A little bit cryptic. I wish he could have explained himself more. But so it sounds like if it was at the edge, then it would be okay. Now, this is very interesting. In the middle of the Gag Machloket, Rabbi Yaakov thinks that this is okay. Even though you just have 4 poles and the walls are far away, it's still okay. What is Rabbi Yaakov thinking, right? It's very strange. We're going to see in a minute that it seems that according to Rabbi Yaakov, you don't need full walls. All you need is corners. If you have like a bracket, we have 4 brackets. Architecturally, it kind of looks like the walls are there. So he doesn't seem to need full walls in any case, and therefore he says this is fine. For sure, if it was on the corners, he would say okay. The question is, Chachamim, they say this is no good. What Rabbi Yaakov doesn't tell us is, what if it was on the corners, according to Chachamim? Would they permit it or not? That's the next question. If so, this is a nice kula that according to Rav Nachman, in the opinion of Chachamim, and halacha is like that, it would be fine if they're on the walls. We say good asik, right? And we could follow that. Or dilma ben bazo machloket, or maybe the machloket is in both cases. And it only told us in the middle to tell us that Rabbi Yaakov is matir even in that case. But Chachamim would prohibit in all cases. They want walls that are above the ground where you're sitting on. Otherwise, no good. Teko, we leave this up in the air. Okay, when you leave something up in the air, this is a doraita. We have to be machmir. So this would be a problem. Okay, now we're going to ask a question on the Rav Huna's interpretation. Metibe, another braita, another version of this. Na'as arba kundesin ba'aretz v'sikech al gaban. You take 4 poles, we have the canvas sukkot, just leave off the canvas. Just take the white poles and put them on the ground, not on top of a roof. So there's no possibility of using the walls of a roof, right? And just put it right in the middle of your backyard. Just a frame. Rabbi Yaakov machshir. He says it's fine. Okay, again, so maybe he's going to see it as brackets. Hachamim poselim. Chamim say it's no good. Now we learn from this. Putting it in the middle of your backyard is like being in the middle of a roof, right? And you see that Rabbi Yaakov says it's okay. This proves that Rav Nachman's interpretation is correct and against Rav Huna. We reject Rav Huna. Okay, so Rav Huna was machmir anyway. Anyway, he's rejected. A further rejection. Ve'od be'emsa hu de pilige. Right? It's clear that they are arguing about a case in the middle. Avala sefata gag debira kol keshera. At the edge, sounds like everybody would agree it's okay. But Rav Huna, you said that they argue at the edge. So lema teyet yutad Rav Huna betarte. Oh, so there's 2. Now there's 2 questions on Rav Huna. They're really related, but now, we're just piling it on, right? Rav Huna, you're finished. Okay. So, but we usually, when we say to Yufta, that's it, he's rejected. But Rav Huna comes back, right? Out of the rubble, right? He comes back to save himself. Amalecha Rav Huna. Pelige be'emsa gag. He's not really saving himself so much. He's kind of changing his tune. He says, you know what? You're right. They are arguing in the middle. But also at the edge. That's what I meant to say. I meant they're arguing on both cases. And the fact that it's formulated in the middle and not at the edge is to show you how that Rabbi Yaakov, koach de hetera adif. You always want to say how, right, the strength of Rabbi Yaakov, that he is matir even in the middle of a roof. But truth is that Chachamim would say, would argue on both cases. And that's what he meant to say. This is the second option that we said before in the Ibaya Lehu of Rav Nachman. If you get that straight. Good. Okay, so that's the end of that case. Now, what are we going to do in this case? Halacha le'ma'aseh. This actually came up some years ago. Someone asked me about a case like this, where they have a porch, open porch, they have a nice trellis on top, and they have a fence, right? So they want to just put, in this case, they were overlooking the river, so lake. So they wanted to just put schach on top, and that's it, right? And the problem is that when I measured, and the fence was not high enough, it was not 10 tefachim, just the fence by itself. So the question is, it's not actually the exact house, but a similar one. So the question is, can you use the gud asik from below, from the foundation of this porch? So this is exactly our case. This is kundisin, right? 4 pillars all around and schach on top, but no wall where you're sitting, only a wall below where you are. Can you extend it up? Okay. So it would seem, according to the conclusion of our text, and many Rishonim say it's no good. Why? Chachamim say it's pasul. Depends on Rav Huna and Rav Nachman, right? According to Rav Huna, the machloket is in the middle. So on the edges, no good. According to Rav Nachman, you have a chance. But Rav Nachman, we had a balehu. Is the machloket in the middle or on the edge? And he didn't know, so we have to assume the chumrah. Rav Huna for sure it's no good. Rav Nachman, half. So it seems no good. Here's the surprise. If you look at Harambam, he says, Ni'ayetz arba'a kundisin arba'a zeviyot hagag v'sikech al gaban ho'il asikuch asifat hagag keshera. He says, you put them on the corner, because they're on the edge of the roof, it's okay. We consider the walls of the building underneath as if they go up to the top of the schach. Rambam, how did you get this from? Right, you're going by Chachamim in a case on the edge and against Rav Huna, and you're assuming, I don't know, where is this coming from? And the Avad right there says, for sure, according to Rav Huna, it's no good. Even according to Rav Nachman, we left it open, we left it standing, so we have to be machmir. So this is a big question. Now, nobody can understand where Rambam gets it from. However, I checked out the manuscripts, and there is a Yemenite version, the Yemenite manuscripts. They have as follows. The beginning is the same, and then Rav Huna is the same. But for Rav Nachman, it says, Amar be'em sagag machloket, aval bisfat hagag divrei hakol keshera. They only are arguing in the middle, at the edge. Everyone thinks it's fine, even Chachamim. There's no Ibaya Lehu, there's no Teko. Rav Nachman is nice and clear. So it seems that Rambam must have had this girsa, and therefore it ends with, beautiful Rav Nachman, Chachamim, it's all good. So now my question is, can we follow this? Halacha lema'aseh. So if you look at the Bet Yosef, right, we'll bring it down to Shulchan Aruch. Bet Yosef first quotes the text that we have in our Gemara. He quotes the Rosh that says, since it ends in the Teku, we have to be machmir. Okay, but he finds that Rav Shirira Gaon lo garisi bayalehu. He knows that Rav Shirira Gaon, he has a tradition from him that you don't have that question. Ela hachi garsinan. Rav Nachman amar be'emsa gag machloket. And therefore, we follow Rav Nachman, and that's what the Rambam says. So you see, Bet Yosef understood, right, where Rambam got it from. And so, therefore, it will be fine. But he ends, B'chol HaSefarim Shelanu, Bet Yosef Maran says, in all of our books, Yeshna ba'aya. I have the question, which one is it? And I have the teko. Hilkach lo samchinan agirsat Rav Shira lahakel. So I can't rely on this tradition that Rav Shira had, because I have never seen a manuscript that has this text. So here's my question. Now that we do have a manuscript, these Yemenite manuscripts, they do have this text, can we say, if Maran would have seen them, then he would have been matir?
Yes, we can, yes. Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad we have another rabbi here. Rabbi Nathan says, yes, we can. I'll add a support to that. Shulchan Aruch himself does not say clearly one way. At first he says, pisula, that's stam, v'yesh machshirin. So he has a stam v'yesh. Okay, normally you'd follow the stam, but God does give the yesh. That's opening to Rambam. And with this consideration, I think there's definitely room to matir. This person, I told them at first, maybe just add a band above. What's the big deal? He says, no, I have to see the lake. I have a beautiful view. I don't want to ruin it. Okay, so I'm going to ask them. I'm going to tell them to go see Rabbi Dweck for a
What does the reef have?
Hey, you just brought me Rav Shira Gaon. You brought me a fragment. You brought me Harambam.
There's a lot of good things going for it.
So where does this girsa come from with all the extra stuff?
Say it, David, again.
Where does all the extra stuff, all these extra questions come from?
Oh, where does it come from if it wasn't there? Where does the girsa come from? This is a good question. There is. I'm gonna counter everything I just said. It could be that the original had it there. The Yemenites, they followed Rambam to the T. So if they saw this in the Rambam, maybe they say, oh, Rambam. Maybe they went backwards and fixed the Gemara to help Rambam. Maybe. On the other hand, Bet Yosef has it in the name of Rav Shira Gaon, so that's something really old. So we do have it somewhere. It's hard to know. Sometimes there's just different branches of the transmission of the Talmud. Okay, last baraita for today. Tenor Banan Naatz Arba'a Kundesin Be'arba'aretz V'sikech Al Gaban. You stuck these 4 poles now in the floor, in the ground, and you put schach on top. Rabbi Yaakov Omer. This is really expanding on what we said before. Ro'in kol she'ilu yechakeku v'yechaleku v'yesh bahen tefach lekan u'tefach lekan nidonin mishum diyumad v'im lav and dionin mishum diyumad shehaya Rabbi Yaakov Omer diyumedei sukkah tefach Hachamim omerim al chiyu shetayim kilchatan u'shlishit afilu tefach. So if you have a pole generally is something round. So the pole by itself is not going to be good. What you're going to do is imagine if you would cut out this way and that way, and if when you cut out this middle section, you would have a right angle with a tefach on one side and a tefach on the other side, then you create a bracket, which is called in Aramaic diyumad. It seems to come from the Greek dio, like duo, 2, amud, 2 pillars. So it's a corner of 2 pillars. When you have such a thing and you have them on all 4 corners, then it's an imaginary wall. We use this in a different halacha. In Masechet Eruvin, it's mentioned when you have a well in the Shut Rabim. The rabbis wanted to give, if people are traveling, they wanted to make a leniency for people to draw water from these wells. And it's too hard, let's say you're camping out there, it's too hard to go and build a whole walls around it. If you just have 4 brackets around the well, then you're allowed to draw water out of the well. A corner bracket, 4 corner brackets.
And it's an L shape.
Right, an L shape, right, exactly. 4 corner brackets, L shape, this way, this way, this way, this way. When you look at them, you say, oh, it's bracketing it in. So visually, it looks like it's 4 walls. Rabbi Yaakov says that's sufficient for a sukkah. And so that explains why he needed all those things. You don't need full walls. However, Chachamim say, no good. Until you have 2 full walls, that means those 2 have to go from end to end and have to be at least 7 tefachim or more. And the third one can be even 1 third one can be 1 tefach. That's okay, right? So you know the mnemonic, sukkah, samech 4 walls, kaf 3 walls, or a hair is 2 walls and a little bit the chupchik of the hair. That would be good. So with this, we can explain the case of the case of Rabbi Yaakov and the Chachamim, what Chachamim would require. So in some we had 7 cases from the Stama Talmud about to discuss too tall and how to make it shorter or how to make it larger. And then this case of the sukkah on the roof and something with just poles, which according to Rabbi Yaakov is always fine, but even according to Chachamim, if it's at the edge of the roof, it may actually be permitted. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.